Welcome to the Little Wins Podcast, where school leaders share their little wins that build strong culture, with your host, Karen Borchert. Hi, and welcome back to the Little Wins Podcast, where we celebrate the small, powerful things school leaders do to build strong and joyful cultures for their team. I'm your host, Karen Borchert. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Nick Fitzgerald, Superintendent of Canajoharie Central School District in upstate New York. Dr. Fitzgerald is just the sixth superintendent in the last 100 years in his small rural district, which tells you something about the culture of this place. Under Dr. Fitzgerald's leadership and with his team, Canajoharie has built a deep culture of care through social-emotional learning, mentoring, restorative practices, and innovative programs that help every student find something they love at school. Nick's approach blends tradition with innovation, and their team culture is full of ideas other leaders will want to try out. So I am thrilled to have him here today. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Fitzgerald.
Appreciate you having me.
Great to have you here. Well, this sounds like such a special place. So start us off by taking us through the hallways and places of your district. Tell us a little bit about Canajoharie District.
Canajoharie is a rural district about 40 miles west of Albany, which is the capital of New York.
Okay.
Very small, traditional community that was once known as the beech nut community. Beech nut foods, baby foods, gum.
Yeah.
They had a factory here for over 100 years. It was very well known about the Arkell family and still has a very strong presence in the community. So it was a very proud, traditional community with that type of upbringing, farmlands, things of that nature. And just, again, very proud, small rural community, like many communities in New York. So as time has gone on, factory is gone, some things have transpired. You can imagine, like any rural area in New York and across the country, it's taken a little bit of financial hit and a little bit of a hit overall. And they've tried to, kind of regroup and continue to regroup. More than anything, keep its traditional, authentic, real base, and that they've kept.
Very cool. Very good. Tell me a little bit about your buildings and about your schools. Do you have 3 schools? Is that right?
Yeah, we have a elementary school, pre-K 3, which is amazing to still see.
Yeah,
year-old kids in school. All the way up to 5th grade. And then we have a 6 through 8 middle school, which is in the same building as the elementary. And then we have a 9 through 12 building, which is our high school. High school is absolutely beautiful, as I mentioned before. The Arkell Foundation, which is well known for the beech nut family, helped offset any additional costs to build the school. It's absolutely beautiful. Our kids in community use it all the time, and they really love it. There's an indoor track. There's an indoor fitness center, that we have a pool. So it's great for this small rural community that's the epicenter of their community.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to lead in a place with such a deep history, such a community connection. It seems like the school district is such an integral part of the community itself. What's it like to be a leader in that kind of place?
Well, I grew up in the surrounding area, up in what's called Watervliet near Albany. And then started my educational career at Watervliet, where I went to school, and then moved on to administration to a number of different schools. And there was 3 schools in our area that I really always wanted to say, boy, I want to be a superintendent at one of those 3 schools out of 100. And everyone's got their own plight. Everyone's got their own decision and why. I wanted a small, traditional, authentic, community where you can get to know everybody, from the kids to the parents to the faculty and staff. And not enough bureaucratic kind of steps and levels where stuff gets in the way, type of thing. Yeah. So, what I loved about this place was it had all those ingredients. It was still very traditional. There was a proud, history here. As I said, the 6th superintendent, they value education, they value their community, and facilities was the place I felt to go to try to make the biggest impact you can too, because while you're in this business is to make an impact. You always want to make something better than when you start, right? And I want to always preface this by, I'm just the resource and the catalyst. It's, the 174 people, from maintenance to bus drivers to food service to aides to monitors to administration to teachers to faculty and nursing, that really kind of make this thing go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love one of my favorite things in this about the podcast is kind of hearing the paths that leaders take, like yours here into leadership. So, but you did not start in education, is that correct?
I was in accounting first. My father worked in a factory, Ford Motor Company,
Okay.
radiators. My mom was the kitchen manager at the high school. And they said, you know what? You're not going to work in a factory. You're going to go get a good office job. So I'm okay. Let me go
Okay.
to college and get an accounting degree and everything will be great. So I got that accounting degree. I went into accounting. I said, wow, this is great. I'm young. I'm making some decent money. This is fantastic. Life is good. But I was coaching football at the same time. And while I'm coaching, I'm really enjoying that time. And so the end of the year gets, in the coaching year, and I always felt that there was kind of an emptiness at the end. So I continued on my job, but still kind of young and moving through life. And probably about the third or fourth, fifth year, I was saying to myself, I'm missing something. I'm really missing something. So I went into college coaching for a little bit and then got my teaching degree and then pursued teaching for a while, become a department chair and a head football coach. And then after that, I moved on to director of athletics and assistant principal. And then I moved on to a principal job in the high school. And then I moved on to a superintendent position.
Okay. What's the most valuable thing you have in your job today from your start in accounting?
The financial side is great to have. I don't think I'm not trying to downplay anybody in this position. There's many different hats you have to wear. And finance is one of those. And I take a pride in kind of knowing the ins and outs and how to look at things. And I don't think too many superintendents have that skill set. And so I'm glad I had that. And I'm glad I went through the different levels because I know what a teacher aide was because I was one. I know what a monitor is because I was one. A teacher, department chair. I know what a coach is. I know what an assistant principal is. I know what a director of athletics. I know a principal. So it really helped me kind of have some empathy along the line of what everyone has to go through because nobody really knows unless they're in a position. It looks good from afar, but nobody really kind of knows.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that you bring up such an important point when you've filled so many different roles, you have the ability to kind of get into those shoes for each one. How do you kind of stay connected to those roles now in the role that you are in today? How do you stay connected to that teacher's aide role, that athletic director role? What does that look like for you?
Well, the reason again I want to be in a small district is as I'm able to kind of really kind of be still there, right? So for example, if I went to a larger district, there would be an assistant superintendent for business. There'd be a assistant superintendent for curriculum. There'd be a director of athletics and PE and health. And this position allows me still to kind of dabble in each one and kind of help. I'm not a micromanager type of person. I really want people to form their own ideas. I want to be that resource and that catalyst to help them, but I can offer that advice. I can offer that support. I can offer that, from afar. Hey, did you think about this? Did you look at this? Hey, I was wondering if we could do this. What do you think? And that has helped kind of really kind of see the position from different lenses, but also help guide hopefully the person in the position to kind of move to the next level.
Excellent. That's great. Well, I am so excited. We always love to hear, of course, about different school and district cultures on this podcast. It's kind of what we're all about. So will you tell us, how would you define the culture of your district and of your buildings? What would take us there?
This is a very, as I said numerous times already, a very proud traditional district that has amazing staff and faculty and staff who care deeply about their community and about our kids. In addition to that, we've had administration that's been here my entire time. So from high school principal to middle school principal to elementary to director of special education and curriculum to our food service to our facilities and our transportation director, all those people pretty much been here that entire time, which kind of follows the plight of what has been here. And that helped so much in terms of creating some stability, consistency, and gives people a little bit of ease in terms of, somebody starts new when you pull a new principal every 3 years or new superintendent every 3 years, everything kind of restarts. And it causes angst and anxiety and a job and a profession is extremely tough. I know a lot of people think on the outside, oh, they're here 180 days a year. But that 180 days a year is full go, never a break, constantly on. You cannot make a mistake. You're always in the light.
Right.
I'm a CEO of a $26 million business that the business and our product is students. And it's not a car that we're making. It's students. So how personable that has to be, how on you have to be every moment of every day. If I'm an elementary school teacher who has the students for, all but 2 or 3 periods a day, they don't have a choice but to be dead on every single day.
Yeah.
I don't think people from the outside really see that big picture and how much it takes. And yeah, they're physically here for 180 days, but the work they do outside, the work they do in the summer, what they do to make sure that the kids are ready, is what people don't see. And I think what I really loved about this place was the in-depth care, the in-depth ability to be a part of a team and to see the picture. I say this all the time. A student starts their day with seeing the bus driver. Hello, how you doing? Welcomes them in. They then get off the bus, and the next thing they see is a monitor and aide right in the hallway, leading them to breakfast. Then they see a food service person. Then they see a maintenance person kind of in the room saying hello, cleaning up. Then they go to their class and they see an aide, or they see a teacher, and they see administration along the way. So all those pieces, all those people, all those components have to come together and gel, work together to really make the kids comfortable being here and wanting to be here. And the family's the same way. So drew me to a place like this, and why this is so special is because they have that still.
Yeah, I love that. I just had somebody who said to me, the bus driver is the first educator that students see in the day, and I love that sentiment and that idea. When you have all those different roles working in the buildings and working in the district, how do you help that team come together in that way? What are the ways that you think about, making sure that your food service team member and your classroom aide and your speech pathologist are all kind of finding common ground? How do you find common ground with all those different roles?
It starts with your administration, and then it starts with your department chairs and your supervisors, who all work together. I allow my elementary principal to run her building. We have overarching district goals. We have a great board of education here who has no agenda, who cares deeply about the kids and cares deeply about making sure that the school gets the best they can out of what we can give them. And so when that happens, I can work with the board. Remember, there's only one employee for the board of education. It's me. And then I am the boss for the 175. So I always get rest, but it's so vitally important for everyone in their position to kind of see those overarching district goals, those overarching objectives that we're looking to obtain every year at every level. And that's my job, to kind of get that point across and then let the magic happen. What I mean by the magic happen, the magic is to watch the principal at the elementary, middle school, and the high school really work their magic with their faculty and their staff, and get to know each and every one of them to see how they tick. Because there's 175 different personalities here with faculty and staff. And administration, not bad, just different. Same thing with the student. 850 different personalities. It doesn't always go like this. It won't ever go like this. So the ability for them to get to know their own faculty and staff, and their ability to kind of then take my district goal and direction and say, how is this going to translate? And I want them to figure that out along the way. And then it kind of goes down to the next level, where they do a great job of informing department chairs or middle management to really kind of hone in on those goals in what we're trying to go after. And then really map that out, right? And elementary is going to be different than high school. So you got to have that skill set to be able to facilitate each one of those levels. And so I think that's where it all kind of goes and starts. And if you don't have those pieces together, it's very tough in this business, because I've said this before, 17% of a kid's life is in school. That's it. Do the math of the amount of days and the amount of hours. 83% is outside of school. You have 17% of a kid's life to make it happen. Broken down 40%, 40-minute chunks, 50-minute chunks, math, social science, PE, lunch. You got to make that happen every single day with state testing, fire drills, lockdown drills, assemblies, snow days, half days, right? And field trips. And you have to make all that happen in that small period of time. So it takes a lot. And you have to let people run their show and let them know that, hey, we're on pace for our district goals. Keep going with what you're doing, and let them get to know their staff and let them run. So from food service, I want my food service director. I'm not a professional food service director.
Right.
Yes, but I am the professional, and this is what I want from the district side to make it happen. Can you do this? And what resources do you need that I can give you to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I love about what you just said, you kind of talked about both alignment, so aligning to the district goals and to those overarching objectives. So you're talking about alignment, but you're also talking about autonomy. And those two things can feel like they are almost on opposite ends of the spectrum, but really they're not. They're together. So really letting your leaders own, their work, their building, all of those things while maintaining this really, really strong alignment feels like a really unique combination in a lot of ways. What are the practical ways that you go about that? Or what have you seen? What are some of the best things that you've seen in your leaders that result from giving them that autonomy? That, how do they lead their buildings differently or their work differently? Tell me a little bit more about what you see.
Each one of our administrators is different. Different in the way that they approach things, which I really love, because they can bring different ideas. They can bring different perspectives. So as we're having, a cabinet meeting, we're having everybody there. Like on the 20th, I'll have my finance person, food service, transportation, facilities, and all the rest of administration there to talk about how we're going to kick off the year and grab everyone's thoughts, perspectives, ideas, and what I feel we're going to try to do this year. And then we bounce those things off and we gather each other's perspectives and figure out what's the best way to do it. After that, they get their own take on their own way to do things. So the way we want to do our 3 through 5 testing could be different than we do our 6 through 8 testing. But the goal is, hey, we want to increase this much this year to proficiency. And how they go about that is the magic of it all, right? Is the magic of getting to know your faculty, staff, and your students, and going on the social emotional journey of really getting to know how they tick, what they do, what motivates them, what inspires them. I say inspire. You can't motivate. You can only inspire. You can inspire motivation. Yeah. You can't motivate people. So the inspiration behind that is great to watch. From the position I'm now in, starting the 7th year, I can sit and watch all that. And that's great to see. And then I can offer some of my perspective and say, hey, they come back and say, you know what? What do you think? This didn't work out as well as I thought. I'm like, okay, let's retrace. Where do you think we missed some spots, or where do you think we can improve upon this? And everybody in this place doesn't have an ego. It's not about them. It's about what's best for our students and our community. And that's just so powerful. And if you don't have that, it can get ugly quick.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you just said. You said you can inspire people, but you can't motivate someone else. Is that what you said?
Motivation comes from within. Motivation comes from a human being. The inspiration is what motivates the person. So you have to inspire people. Everyone has a different motivation. Mm-hmm. Everybody can be inspired. And how that motivation works depends on what their type of personality and what they do. So you can't motivate people. You can inspire the motivation within. So it's getting to know each part of a person to get that inspiration, move that along, which then in turn motivates them to get to the next step.
That's cool. That's really that's a great perspective, great way of thinking about things. You mentioned social emotional learning, and I know that's a passion area of yours. Can you tell us a little bit about what is social? It's a word that can come up in a lot of different contexts, and sometimes can get almost into the kind of buzzword sort of category. So tell us a little bit about what social emotional learning looks like in your buildings, and what is that? How does that shape the culture of your buildings?
We take total and utmost care in the emotional well-being of our students and our families first. The educational component will be there. But if our students aren't comfortable being here, aren't comfortable leaving and going home, aren't comfortable being with their friends and their other classmates, not comfortable with their teachers and people around them, they won't learn. And it's so important to make sure that they're comfortable here first. So we put a lot of work and effort into the social emotional piece. It's a rural community that does have some struggles in terms of the poverty rate, in terms of the ability for families to have everything, and I think all the families try for sure, but there's certain things that some people don't have. And our job is to make sure we can give them not only the resources, but also the social emotional support to make sure that they're comfortable, like I said, being here. So we've really invested hard into doubling our counseling staff since I've been here. We've added a full-time therapist in our district through a grant through a local agency. So someone's housed here fully. We've put in a conscious discipline model in our K-6, and conscious discipline is kind of an extension of restorative practices. We're really focused on the behavior of students and why they behave the way that they do, and how can we alter and change and understand the behavior so you don't keep repeating it. So when a student gets in trouble or does something that they're not supposed to, our focus is on, hey, why did you do that? Why do you think, what made you do that? Do you understand what you just did to your other student? Do you understand how they felt? Do you understand why that's not good in the future to continue to do? Well, there's still consequences to the actions. It allows the student to self-reflect and to understand that they're not perfect. Nobody is. We're going against different personalities every single day, as I mentioned earlier. But we've got to start to have a big awareness of how to alter our behavior to move forward and to deal with people from now and in the future. The restorative practice gets a little bit more extensive in terms of circles, the ability to kind of, as they get a little bit more mature, to kind of see a little bit less blinders on. At adolescence, you have blinders on. You only see what's around you. And as you get older, the blinders become a little bigger. So you can kind of go more into the restorative practices mode. And then we go through 9 through 12 with that. We've also 7 through 12. And we also have the behavior specialist, who is a veteran teacher here, is outstanding, and she followed all the cohorts up. So they now have always seen her and been there and helped the faculty and staff through that process. That's that. We've added student mentoring, which allows any faculty or staff member who wants to be a mentor, or it could be my administrative assistant has been a mentor for the past 3 years. And what that does is it kind of allows a student to connect with a positive adult that they feel trusted in our school, and to not be, how do I say, not to be looked at, a teacher in their class looks at a student sometimes a little differently than somebody who's not in class. So it kind of put curtains down a little bit. We also added in what's called a turnabout program and a home learn program, where in K-5, there's someone here who spends time in and out of the district with 10 families who need supports. We do the same thing at the middle school level with 8 different families. And so when you add all of those pieces together, we have the kind of really give the supports that the kids need. And we also have this program called STAR here, which is kind of a student-teacher combination, where the kids work in teams with teachers and staff on events, games, fun. More than anything, what it does is allows the students to get to know each other and know the teachers and faculty and staff at a different level in the classroom. So our first day of school here is broken up to teams. They're different colors. It could be the star football player with the kid who's the lead vocalist in the choir, to the 87 student who's on the the chess club, for example. And those students are together in a team, so they see each other and say, I'm the same person as this one is. And they see faculty and staff in a different light, so they can create more of a trusted environment where they can turn to somebody if they need help or concerns or issues. So I think we really kind of start really hard at those levels first. And we try to do the same thing with our faculty and staff. And that's harder to do because there's just so much. So we take 2 half days a year, and we do we do some wellness with our faculty and staff. So one day we take a half day and we bring in a masseuse, and they can go to the fitness center. They can play board games. They can play pickleball. What it does is allow our staff to kind of take a breath, get away from the minutia of the everyday grind, get to know each other, and take a moment to themselves. Another half day, we did a field day. We put everybody together on teams. Yeah. Just did some fun games. So for example, a food service worker was with a teacher from the middle school, but then a bus driver and then a model from the elementary school. So they get to know everybody in the community, in the district, and just say, geez, this isn't this my role. These are all the different roles, and they're the people in the district as well. So that allows hopefully some time for the faculty and staff to take a breath. This is not a perfect industry. This is not a perfect world in terms of this career. It's very tough. It's daunting and challenging, and the pressure is always on. So we try as best we can to give the supports and the ability for our faculty and staff and everybody to feel comfortable being here, just like the students. And we hope that's what gets.
Yeah, absolutely. So tons of great ideas and little wins there. So I want to kind of regroup them really quick. Cause so first of all, just start with doubling the counseling staff and adding sort of those roles, behavior intervention and the therapist, all of those things. How do you think that particular thing has changed things for your staff? So does your team feel like they're dealing with fewer behaviors in the classroom or fewer things because of some of the, there's a number of different things that could be contributing to that, but how are those things contributing to how your staff feels at work, how your teams feel at work?
I think in many areas, the staff feels concentrate more on what they're here to do, right? Obviously, they're mentor students and they're still to give here the supports, but there's so much pressure on testing and so much pressure on students getting to the next level, which so right they should, because this is the area that we have, 13 years to make this happen. As I said,
17%. Yeah.
Make that happen, that we try to alleviate as much as we can. But here's a problem in this business and the way the world's moving now. AI. Look at the last 3 years, just what AI has transpired 2 and 3 years. So to keep up with the constant changes and the transformation of the way students learn and are engaged, and the state and federal changes and regulation changes that constantly happen, it's so very tough to keep up on that. So we're trying really hard to give them more time to spend on those areas than less time on all of the minutia, the other pieces. And we hope that we could chip away. It's never going to be perfect, and it's never going to be in a situation where all of that's going to be gone, right? But I'll give you a quick example. This year in 8th and 6th grade, there was 5 discipline referrals in the first quarter for the entire class, 0 in the second quarter, 0 in the third quarter.
Wow.
7th grade, there was only 38. So there was 43 discipline referrals in 3 quarters for 2 grade levels.
Wow.
That allows the teacher to spend a lot more time on what they really need to do. And so is all that extra stuff working? I think it is. And it's a chip away. I use those words all the time. It's never 0, but I hear 5 0. 0 is close to 0. And we're never going to kind of get there, but we're going to chip away and really hopefully help our teachers and our support staff and our administrators really be able to focus on those key areas.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love, thinking about kind of layering. I've heard the analogy of it's kind of a Swiss cheese strategy that not everything is perfect, but when you layer them all together, you start to create this multi-support approach, both for your students and for your teams. I love the thought of that. So I know that, speaking of kind of ways that you have helped, sort of your staff be able to focus more on their core work and all of those things, you have a unique model around kind of departmentalization and department chairs at really early ages. I wonder if this is in part because you were a department chair early in your career, but also would love to understand more about that. Tell us a little bit about what you've done there.
So in first through fifth grade, we still allow it in kind of kindergarten where it's traditional. First through fifth grade, we do departmentalization, and really came out of COVID. So when we had COVID, what happened was, the school shut down, and kids 6 feet apart, and you had to do all these things to make sure they can come to school. My number one goal when I went into that all of a sudden hit of, school's closed now, but you're not going to reopen, and we really don't know what we're doing because no one's ever been through this. My number one thing I started with is we're getting our K-6 kids in every day. We're going to come up with a plan that's going to get our K-6 kids in every day. And we were the only school in the area that was able to do that. And so elementary principal, along with the other administration, put together one heck of a plan of really spreading them out. We had to do 5 different classrooms, right? 4 different classrooms. So to spread the students out. So what we started to do is say, okay, one's going to teach math, English, social science, and we're able to kind of really AIS supports and really kind of spread them out to get them in here. Because a first grader on a Chromebook at home wasn't going to work. So so we were able
I had one of those.
Accomplish that and get them in here every day. We never closed school because of a COVID issue. So allowed our kids to get in here. So as we started to look at that, it's just, the way students learn today, their attention spans, they're just different. They're still kids, but different. And what we have to do is give them that difference. To have them sit in one room for 6 hours is very tough to do. So as we took, let's take the best math teacher in first grade, the math ELA teacher in first grade, the best science and social studies in first grade. So now the students get to pick up and leave every hour to kind of restart. But more than anything, they're getting the same instruction from that math teacher. Every student in first grade is getting the same instruction, same thing, same in third grade. And what that allows us to do also allows us to take our department chairs in K2 and 3-5 and just focus on those sets of teachers. So our 3-5 math department chair only has to have a third grade math teacher, a fourth grade math teacher, and a fifth grade math teacher to work together and focus on what those goals are. And it also allows them indirectly to have more time to speak with each other about how students behave, how to also help, because now the students are getting 3 trusted adults as opposed to just having a trusted adult to start to learn from, to trust in, to count on. And each one of them can lean support on each other and say, well, student A, I'm having trouble with doing this. But this teacher, geez, I'm not, because I'm doing this with student A. And so it allows them to bounce off those ways to really, again, go back to what we said from the beginning, make sure our students are comfortable being here so they can learn. So that departmentalization and the department chairs we put in K2 and 3-5 helped us to really focus on those set areas. And our scores in 3-5 have definitely increased a lot. And it's definitely helped because of that. And our next level now is to really reset the 6-8 where we're struggling a little bit in some of the areas. And then really put a lot of focus on making sure that the educational piece is there in terms of the rigor and the pacing to keep the kids moving and engaged.
Very, very cool. I can imagine also, I mean, if you've got, when you have in a traditional setting where you've got, maybe 2 different sections or 3 different sections of first grade, and therefore you've got 3 different ways that math, you have 3 different math teachers in that way. When the second grade teacher is getting those kids, they're like, okay, are they coming from this math teacher, this math teacher, this math teacher? I imagine that the vertical planning from, grade level to grade level with the help of that department chair, and then with the ability that each grade level just has the one math teacher that's teaching math and the one ELA teacher, creates so much. Does that create a high level of support for each teacher that in the vertical planning there to have it that way?
It allows us to really kind of see things vertically better. And here's the thing too, that teacher has one prep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So they can really focus on, and now we're really pushing the AI piece. My big push the last couple of years, especially this year, is bottom line, the mantra is become efficient to transform instruction. So let's use AI to really help you with even more of the minutiae of stuff in terms of worksheets and PowerPoints and lesson plans. So you can really dig deeper in transforming instruction to what the kids really need today, which is really competency-based learning. which is learning to things like critically think, to collaborate, to teamwork, to responsibility, to effectively communicate. We really need to work harder on those areas, and those students become better students. Information is they can get in a second. We need to be better critical thinkers and advanced learners. And hopefully the flip to the AI and the resources that are there will help force that a little bit more. We've done a lot of our learning spaces. We're 70 out of our 100 classes. We have some grant monies. The district invested some monies as well, and we revamped classroom spaces so they're more comfortable for our students and more movable. The teachers can get the most out of what they can do in the lesson as well. So they had to write a plan to put together to put in a request and how it's going to help transform instruction with their classroom environment. And that allows me to then go back and say, are you following that plan? And then that helps the student, because if you think about it, we're having kids come in and sit in metal chairs for 7 hours a day.
Right.
Restarting every 40 or 50 minutes in a new metal chair. And it doesn't bode well. Where would you do that? Look at business.
Yeah. Nobody does that. Yeah.
Who does that? But for some reason, we think that's a good way to do things, right?
Yeah.
So let's make it a comfortable, welcoming environment for our students to make sure, again, they can learn.
Yeah. Going back really quickly to, you mentioned, kind of helping your staff focus on starting to use a little bit more AI to create more efficiencies for themselves. What are some of the things you're seeing your staff do or use in the area of AI to make their jobs easier?
I'm seeing, really focused instruction, right? Where you can really come in and give students almost like an individual education plan for everybody, right? When they got AI reports, you can really drill down with the sites and the resources that are out there to help that student out a specific, deficiency that they may have. I'm starting to see them a lot use things in terms of creating lesson plans and creating PowerPoint presentations and helping them draft up letters. Again, lesson plans to really help them not worry about creating that anymore.
Right.
Just, overseeing and become better prompt writers. So we're seeing a lot of that. So this year we have a badging opportunity for our faculty and staff. So every year, the teachers get an ability to pick a badge to earn, where it could be proficient in Canva, proficiency in Google certification 1 or 2, Google School, to get AI training, an hour a month. They pick the badge. They go on their own time to finish the badge. And as long as they finish the badge by March, they get the last conference day off. So essentially it's it inspires them to be motivated to say, okay, I'd like to have the last day off. But in the meantime, I'm gaining a badge in the auspices of our district goals.
Yeah.
To fulfill, hey, I become a better presenter. I become proficient in AI. Better with Google. So, I did a book study. I went through conscious discipline training, advanced conscious discipline training. Cool. All builds back to our district goals to help the students, achieve and help our faculty and staff become more efficient to, again, focus more on instruction. So I think that is really up. So this year, we've really kind of put an AI push into that. Also have a specialist coming in our first conference day to drill down on AI in every level.
Oh, very cool.
I have a neuroscience specialist coming in November to talk a little bit more advanced AI, but more than anything, how students learn today, why they're engaged, why they're not engaged. And we're really going to focus on piggybacking off of why we need to find more time to transform instruction and less time on the minutia of the things that AI can do for you.
Yeah.
More letter recommendation written, for example, is always a good prompt letter. You should send a letter out to a parent, should be written by AI. You have to edit it, but let AI write it for you. A presentation.
80-20 rule, right?
You can put it in there. So we hope that that's what it goes, but it's going so fast and there's so many different sources out there. We want to kind of limit it to give them the opportunity to find things that work for them.
Yeah. Love that. I love this badge program in part because it feels like a true little win, right? It's something that doesn't require, a huge, initiative. It doesn't require a huge budget. You're paying for it with that sort of extra, like that time off on that last conference day. But you're also leveling up your staff and finding these ways for people to kind of take on their own PD in a way and really,
Yes.
kind of choose what they are most excited about learning. I love that. That's a great idea.
Well, are more motivated if they have a choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we have so many ideas here. This is so great. Before we wrap up, we always end with the same 3 questions. It's one of my favorite parts because it always gives us a little snapshot about how our guests think about culture. Are you ready for those questions?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Okay, the first one is, what are the 3 words that you would use to define your district culture? 3 words.
Caring, collaborative, future driven.
Ooh, that's a great one. Will you talk a little bit more about that last one?
I think we've kind of taken great pride in saying our kindergarten class is going to graduate in 2037, right?
Mm-hmm.
2038. When you look at that and say, how do we get those kids ready for 2038? When we don't know jobs are going to be available, and we don't know the technology that's going to be there. So we got to think really outside the box, right? We've got to think differently to help get those kids to that next level. New York State started this Portrait of a Graduate in terms of changing how they're going to, what the focus is going to be on for students and assessments and things of that nature. Well, we put Portrait of a Graduate in 3 years ago. So it would stay ahead of that because to go that big of an initiative, it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen overnight. So really by time the Portrait of a Graduate is fully installed in New York State, 2029, 2030, we'll have the levels that we're looking to put in where we're putting badges for the students at every grade level. So
cool.
We want a student to become proficient in confidence or critical thinking as a senior. What does that look like as a 10th grader, 9th grader, 5th grader, 1st grader? So right now we've created badging books in those areas for pre-K, kindergarten, and 1st grade. This year, 2nd through 5th. So what it allows teachers to do is evaluate the students on where they are in those areas. So what is critical thinking? What does it being proficient in critical thinking look like in 1st grade compared to 5th grade? And have they those marks? So we're doing this, creating those badges for students as they go through. So by the time 2028 comes around, we're going to put the 2-5 together this year, the 6-8 next year, 9-12 the following year, and we'll have that installed. So as the cohorts
all the way through,
they'll go through it. And by time New York kicks off fully 2029-30, we'll have the badges put into place. So when I say that future driven, the classroom spaces, the technology that we're using, the AI, staying ahead of AI, the ability to help transform instruction to what kids really need today. What we need New York State to do is let go of the testing and focus more on making students become better, competent, critical thinkers. You can't, if you tell the teachers to say focus on competency-based learning and testing, it won't work. So if the state can let go of that a little bit, I think we're well on our way to what the future-driven instruction model should look like. Very
cool. Wonderful. Well, it's cool to hear a district that is both so deeply rooted in tradition and yet really sees itself in the future. Okay, second question. What is one little win that you've had at work lately that we can celebrate for you?
I think the financial side of things. We've been able to stay ahead of the curve there a little bit. We're in a community that again struggles financially. Have a tax cap where we only get a certain amount of funds in. On average, since Canajoharie has been around, the average tax increase has been about 6%. The last 6 years is 1.9%. So it's great for the taxpayers and great for a community, but we lost 4% of the table every year. So financially, that starts to take a hit for us. Federal funds aren't there. They're going down a little bit every year. and the state funds are increasing a little bit. But when you take benefits, salaries, basic programming, doesn't cover those costs. So
Sure.
we'll be able to really go after grants. We've been able to reshuffle some areas. We've been able to consolidate some services and really look at the financial side to kind of stay ahead as much as we possibly can. And meeting with my finance person even today allows us to kind of do building projects with no taxpayer impact because that's huge in terms of reserve funds. It all goes back to them. Putting in a solar field to take 85% of our costs for our electric. And now, that's 200,000 to 80% of 200,000 is 160,000 a year for us.
Yeah.
For things. To do things like that to offset any of those incurring costs as they go forward. So I think I'm probably most proud of making sure we stay ahead of an area that is struggling and the industry that's struggling.
Yeah, that's a big little win. That's a really big one. That's great. That's great. All right, last one. We talk here about the idea that school culture and district culture is everyone's job in the district. It's a shared responsibility. So, what is one thing that you believe any educator can do to strengthen their school culture right now?
I think it's really being empathetic and a great listener.
Great.
I think the first thing I did when I came here is I threw out a Google form and asked, what are the 3 strengths of the community, of the district? What are the 3 things we need to improve upon? And what's your expectation of the superintendent? And then the first summer I was here, I set up over 90 meetings. I asked anybody if they wanted to come in and meet with me. There was over 90 people. And I just sat and listened. I took their results and I sat and listened. And I found common threads into what they really needed and wanted. And that first year, I tried really hard to just focus on that area or those areas. I picked 2 things and said, this is the area that they need. And being empathetic to people's plights and also being a great listener, let people explain themselves. And that's harder to do than we think because you're mindset of where you want to go with something in your mind. But I always do it. And I make a mistake sometimes too, of jumping ship too quick. And I say to myself, just keep listening. Just keep listening. I think that those are 2 things that you can really do today to help you because we have great professionals in this field. We have outstanding, future-driven thinkers. We have people who care about our kids. And so let me listen to their concerns and their plights and try to solve that as much as possible. So for a quick example, we all hate the top-down approach in terms of conference days where you sit in a room and the superintendent talks and the next administrator comes up. So I've really tried to focus all of our conference days, except the first day, because there's no way around that training. Is all about bringing somebody else in, colleagues, peers, to lead the badging. Let them lead their own PD. They don't need to wait for 8 hours. So I think I heard that loud and clear. Right. We did an hour delays to write curriculum. Teachers say, you know what? Thank you for that, but we really need more time and different things. So we went to 4 half days instead. So to listen to what they needed per se.
So good. So cool. That's awesome. Well, this has been so much fun to talk with you. There are so many amazing ideas here, everything from the badge program and kind of self-led professional development to mentoring programs, wellness days, field days, and the idea of that departmentalization and how that can free up time and build efficiency that become efficient to transform instruction is such a great set of little wins. So many wonderful things here. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and wishing you the most wonderful school year ahead.
Thank you. And again, I can't echo enough. If you don't, there's no I in team. There's a me, but there's no I in team. It's so important because team is broken down as together, everyone achieves more, right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely right.
The acronym. And that is the key.
Absolutely.
No one person in this, not even close.
So. Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much and have a great year. Have a little win? We'd love to hear from you. Learn how we help schools build strong culture at getalpaca.com.